the final time, number 24 on the floor, 6'6", high school, 5-time world champion, Kobe Bryant.
His look. And that's and desperate to get to the basket and score. And he does. Every night he gets in the strong move. Kobe to the basket. Oh, pretty. And one. Feeling it. Firing. Oh, got him all. Just gave a foul. Kobe came out. Here he is for three. Of course. Huertas is seeking Kobe for three. Yes. Brazil this year. I think that would surprise a lot of people. A 50-point game. Final minute 30. Bryant from 14. Has 50. He's got the Lakers' last check. Bryant for three. Oh! Gamer. Bryant on the move with the jumper. He 58 points. Now he will come to the line. Bryant 2 free throws for 60.
What's up, fellas? Happy Tuesday. Well, let me make sure I get my phone off. Well, first thing I wanted to do is publicly offer my most sincere and heartfelt condolences to the families of those who lost loved ones in that horrible and unexpected helicopter crash. And of course, 2 of the people who were tragically killed in that helicopter accident was NBA legend Kobe Bryant and his 13-year-old daughter, Gigi. My heart goes out to Kobe's wife, his 3 remaining daughters. I mean, I don't wish that situation on my worst enemy. I don't think anybody in the world right now would want to trade places with Vanessa Bryant, Kobe's widowed wife. Nobody. Even people who don't like her would want to, or love her or whatever. I mean, nobody would want to trade places with her. She lost her husband and she lost one of her 4 beloved daughters. So now her remaining 3 daughters have to grow up without, particularly the 2 younger ones. 2 of the 4 daughters are real young. And now they got to grow up only knowing their father from what they see on videos and photos. I mean, they didn't have enough years invested to really get to know him as a man. And he has his oldest daughter, you know, she's going to get to cherish the memories of the time spent with her father, but it's just tragic all around. But I don't want to just emphasize them because there were 7 other people that lost their lives. A baseball coach, his wife and daughter lost their lives. The helicopter pilot lost his life. He was actually a very well-respected helicopter pilot. Like, he was considered the creme de la creme of helicopter pilots in Southern California. Another woman and her daughter. Just a horrible. As most people know, I was in a helicopter as recently as, when was that? Early January of 2019, when I was in the Cayman Islands. I did a 10-day cruise to the Panama Canal region, and one of the 5 ports I visited was Cayman Islands. And while I was on Cayman Islands, I got to co-pilot a helicopter, and it was exciting, but I ain't gonna lie, I said a prayer before I went up there. You know, I really did. I said a prayer before I went up in that helicopter. I said, please, I hope this helicopter is everything about it is sound and functional and safe. Anytime I go up in the air, man, I'd probably say like a little 5, 10, 15 second prayer, because I don't want to die, you know, no type of air crash. Now, of course, the one sentiment that's been expressed by just about everybody in the mainstream media, social media, is that Kobe's death reminds us that life is precious. But it shouldn't have to take a death to remind you that life is precious. Man, if you remember, I just talked about this. I'm trying to think of the video. There was a video I did where I literally just talked about the concept of, I remember making a comment. I said, I don't take anything in my life for granted. I don't take any day in my life for granted. I value and appreciate, because, man, you know, you could be a millionaire, multimillionaire, billionaire. What's the one thing you can't buy? What's the one thing you generally speaking, you can't buy? You can't buy time, man. You can't buy time. You can buy a lot of materialistic possessions with money. You can invest that money on Wall Street. You know, you can buy certain privileges that poor people are not able to afford. But one of the few things you can't buy with money, man, you can't buy extra time on earth. You cannot, you know, death, when it's your time, it's your time. It don't matter how famous you are. It don't matter how rich you are. Death don't care about that. That's irrelevant to death. Father Time, as they like to say, or the more negative connotation of Father Time is the Grim Reaper. Man, you can't buy extra time, man. When it's your time, it's your time. And like, I know there's been people in my life, whether it be family members, close friends, acquaintances. There's some people, particularly older people, that died that I expected them to die. So I was able to mentally and emotionally prepare myself for it. Like, good case and example there would be like my father. My father, he had a stroke in January of 2000. And starting with January 2000, me, my brother, and my mother, we knew his days on earth were very limited. We knew his life was going to come to a close within a 2, 3, 4 year period. And sure enough, he ended up passing away on March 10th of 2002. So about 2 years and roughly 2 years and 2 months after his stroke is when my father ended up passing away. It was hard for me. No, I shouldn't have talked about this. was one of the hardest days of my life. Was watching my father having his casket get lowered down 6 feet under. Yeah, I think all of you can relate if you have a close relationship with your mother, your father, your stepmother, stepfather. If you're close to them, you didn't have a dysfunctional relationship. Losing a parent is extremely hard. I took my mother and father's death very hard. My mother's, it was equally hard. It was more unexpected. I was talking about expected versus unexpected. My mother was very unexpected. I mean, she was up in age. She was about 77, and she had a myriad of health ailments. But still, when she died, my mother died December 3rd of 2007. And I didn't see her death coming. I mean, just 2 or 3 days before she died, she seemed okay, But I've had other people, who died, some friends, high school friends, college friends, fraternity brothers that died unexpectedly in the manner that Kobe did. And it was real tough, When people die unexpectedly, it's when people, number one, again, when people who you're close to die, period, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Whether it's a parent, a sibling, a child, extremely close friend of the family, cousin, whatever, grandparent. But yeah, when people die, like unexpected, like say in a car crash, airplane crash, train crash, that just really hits you hard. So anyway, what are some of my brief thoughts on Kobe? I ain't gonna lie, man. I used to hate Kobe, man. I never hated him as a person or a human being, but as someone who's very into sports, as most people know, one of my big dreams when I was in high school was to play on my high school's varsity basketball team. I wasn't able to realize that dream. I got cut my junior and senior year, and it was very devastating for me. My claim to fame with basketball was, when I was in high school, I was only about 5'10", which is, I'm only a little bit taller than that right now. But I could actually, the beginning of my senior year, I could actually dunk. I had what they call hops, which is a high vertical leap. Yeah, I could actually dunk. Like most people, if you're like roughly 6'2", 6'3", or taller, people expect you to be able to dunk. But when you're roughly, I'd say 6'1" and shorter, people are usually surprised when you can dunk. Definitely when you're 5'11" or shorter. Like, I was 5'10". I had probably, in my entire high school, I was probably in the top 3, top 5 highest vertical leaps of anybody in my high school. Because for like 3 years straight, I used to wear these leg weights on my ankles, which actually caused me to get knee surgery later on, but that's another story. But I used to wear these leg weights, and that's what helped me improve my leaping ability. But yeah, man, at the beginning of my senior year in high school, I could actually dunk. But the reason so that was one of the positives. The negative was my left hand dribbling skills were extremely weak. I could dribble with strength and precision with my right hand, but when you're that height, you're going to be expected to play guard, and more specifically point guard. In order to play point guard, you got to be what's known as ambidextrous. Almost most top-notch guards on a college level and professional level are ambidextrous, meaning they could dribble with strength, precision and accuracy with both their right and left hand. Like Steph Curry, he could go to the hole either with his right or with his left. James Harden could do the same thing. Allen Iverson knew how to do the same thing. Kobe knew how to do the same thing. Michael Jordan. I first became familiar with Kobe when he was still a senior in high school. First time I ever heard of Kobe Bryant was he made the news because he took the well-known singer Brandy to his senior prom. She was like, a well-known celebrity, and he was like this high school senior, and that was his date for the prom. And that made the news, at least in black circles it did. I don't know among non-black circles, but definitely in black news media, that made the news. People was like, who is this high school senior going to the prom with Brandy? And yeah, it was Kobe Bryant. That's when I very, very, very first heard of Kobe. And then, of course, I was living in Los Angeles when he got drafted by the Lakers. So I remember him, he struggled his first 2 years. People don't remember that. It wasn't like he was a superstar from the get-go. Like LeBron James kind of came in the league. He hit the ground running. He was like a starter on the Cleveland Cavaliers starting with his first game. He was like pretty much the star of the team. Kobe wasn't like that. Kobe was like a bench warmer pretty much his entire rookie year, and I want to say most of his second year. He was on the bench. He came off the bench. He was not a starter. And the second thing I remember about him, and this probably gave a boost to his confidence, was that he got a chance to meet Michael Jordan when I think he was in high school. And he played Michael Jordan one-on-one. And one or two things, I can't remember which one. He either beat Michael Jordan in a one-on-one game, or he came close to beating him. And that boosted his confidence, as it would anybody who's still a high school basketball player. If you're a high school basketball player and you know that you can hang with somebody who's a top NBA all-star, then that's going to give your confidence an exceptional boost. And I think that's what it did for Kobe. That was like his confidence claim to fame, is that, yeah, he played a few one-on-one games against Michael when he was like a sophomore, junior in high school. And again, one or two things. Either one of the games he beat Michael, or at least one of the games he came very, very close to beating Michael. And I remember him saying that gave his confidence an extremely significant boost. Here's what's interesting about Kobe, man. I'll talk about at least one thing on the court and one thing off the court. On the court, as I mentioned, he wasn't a starter his first 2 years. And I remember his rookie year, he played in some playoff games against the Utah Jazz, and he missed all these three-point shots, man, that could have devastated, speaking of confidence, could have devastated the confidence of a lot of NBA players, man. But he used that humiliating moments as fuel for motivation and later on in his career. And as you know, off the court, he once got accused of sexual assault in Colorado. That could have ended a lot of professional athletes' career. If not their actual athletic career, definitely in terms of somebody being able to market them and use them as for endorsements and that type of thing. That could have ended his, endorsements and marketing aspect of his career. But he was able to transform his image into later in life. What's one of the reasons right now why Kobe is highly revered in his death? Think about it. Most people think it's solely and specifically because he was just an exceptional professional basketball player. No. That's probably only maybe like 40 to 50% of it, particularly among women. That's only about 40 to 50% of it is just his pure athletic talent. One reason why he's so revered, man, is for two other reasons in addition to his talent as a professional basketball player. Number one, the dude, similar to Michael Jordan, was insanely competitive and always striving to be the best in his field. People respect that. People respect that. If you remember when I first got on YouTube, I said that about myself, honestly. I'm always striving to be known as the best dating coach in the world, the best men's dating coach in the world. I remember I said that like in my second, third, no later than my fourth video after I first got on YouTube. I said, my constant objective is to be known as the absolute best men's dating coach in the world, and at bare minimum, the best direct approach-oriented date. Now, going back to Kobe. Yeah, I was talking about, a lot of people think he's being highly revered in his death simply because he was an exceptional athlete. There's a lot of exceptional athletes. I'll give you one. My fraternity brother, NBA legend Wilt Chamberlain. When Wilt Chamberlain died, man, he didn't get like 1/10 the attention that Kobe's getting right now. And why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? I'm trying to think of other athletes. There's been quite a few athletes that when they died, they got a certain degree of attention, but they didn't get the type of attention Kobe getting. Part of the reason why Kobe is getting a lot of attention is because he always emphasized excellence, striving to be the best. And a thing related to my field of work, dating relationships, he transformed his whole image. If you remember again, man, there was a year, what was that, 2005, I want to say, 2004, 2005, when he got accused of sexual assault. His image was shit. Nobody wanted to touch him from a marketing standpoint. But now, man, in his later years, but definitely after both right before he retired from the NBA and definitely since he retired from the NBA, he was known as Kobe the family man, the man who loved his wife, spent a lot of quality time with his daughters. America loves that. If you remember, I did a video. I remember specifically, I did a YouTube video in spring of 2017. I think it was May of 2017. I was talking about, I touched on this if only briefly. I think I was talking about something to do with marriage, and I said that a lot of entertainment celebrities and a lot of professional athletes, some of them get married because they genuinely fall in love with somebody. But I said there's other celebrities who get married to enhance their public image so that they become more marketable. Because the general public likes people who are in stable relationships and seem like they care about children and the health and benefit of children. That's important to the general public. If anybody who works in marketing or public relations knows that. Put it in blunt terms, if Kobe, say at the time of his death, he was known as just this wild, reckless, prolific womanizer, he wouldn't be getting 1/3 the attention he's getting right now. And that's just real red pill talk. He wouldn't. He wouldn't be getting the type of attention and reverence that he is now. The general public does not like womanizers, man. I mentioned Wilt Chamberlain. That's one reason why Wilt Chamberlain didn't get the type of attention after when he died. Because he was, at the time of his death, he was known as a guy who slept with between 15 and 20,000 women. He wasn't known as no married man or no family man. Heterosexual womanizers in the general public's eyes are low on the totem pole. I said this way back in 2017 and even before that on my Blog Talk Radio show. I would say homosexual guys who are promiscuous get more respect by the general public than heterosexual guys who are promiscuous. And that's real red pill talk. Part of why Kobe is people loving on him so much, man, because he was a family man. I want to say it was genuine, but let's just say in the 1% chance it was all fabricated for the sake of helping him get endorsements and stuff. I don't think that was the case. I think he genuinely learned a lot of life lessons, and he realized the importance of family. Particularly, I want to say, because Kobe, most people don't know, Kobe fell out with his own parents before. Yeah, Kobe fell out. I'm not going to get into all the details of that, but Kobe fell out with his own parents. So, I'm sure he appreciates the family he had. So anyway, man, there were a lot of Kobe haters. Like I said, I used to hate on Kobe, man, from a competitive standpoint. One of the first times I started liking Kobe was when I found out he was a huge Michael Jackson fan. Everybody know Michael Jackson. That's my dude, man. Michael Jackson, that's my dude. So once I found out he was a huge Michael Jackson fan, man, that's when I started liking him. And of course, I'm a big Michael Jordan fan, and Michael Jordan was like his big brother. And it's funny, if you remember, I brought up Kobe in relation to this, going back to the whole talk about copyright infringement and plagiarism. A more informal form of copying somebody, and this is more so probably a black term, is what's known as swagger jacket. Remember I did a video about swagger jacket? Well, actually, first, Big Mike from Mac City Limits did a video answering the question, because I guess he and Tony Maceo got accused of swagger jacking me. And then I remember C Boogie came out with a video, asked a question, have I swagger jacked Alan Roger Currie? What's the difference between, now, number one, swagger jacket is a much more lighthearted, and it ain't even on the same level as like copyright infringement or plagiarism or trademark infringement. That stuff involves legalities. Swagger jacking is when you just basically kind of intentionally or unintentionally imitate someone's style. The way they walk, the way they talk, some of their mannerisms, some of their facial expressions, vocal inflections, the way they wear their clothes and that type of thing. That means you swagger jacking somebody. And just this week, since Kobe's died, I've listened to a few people talk about how they said when Kobe was young, he was basically just a Michael Jordan clone. And if you remember, I mentioned that on the video when I was talking about swagger. I said one person in the world of professional sports that was majorly accused of swagger jacking was Kobe Bryant. Like, most Michael Jordan fans used to look at Kobe as just a Michael Jordan wannabe clone. And the thing is, Kobe pretty much acknowledged that himself. It wasn't like Kobe tried to deny that. He acknowledged that he went early on in his career, starting with high school up until probably his first 2, 3, 4 years in the league. He basically tried to imitate Michael Jordan because he felt like that would contribute to him being a more successful basketball player. I remember an interview, they even asked Michael about that. They said, what do you think about, I don't think they used the specific term swagger, but essentially that's what they asked. They said, what do you think about the fact that Kobe has just swagger jacked your whole style? And he said, I'm honored and I'm flattered. He said he has the talent to do it. Yeah, he said he has the talent to do it. But here's where I'm going to give him some credit, and this relates to something I talked about last year. I kind of went in on some young black men, at least 1 or 2 videos last year, because I've actually heard a lot of young black men on YouTube say that they don't really respect older black men. They don't respect them as elders. They don't feel, like I just mentioned on a recent video, how Alpha Male Strategies, when he first came on the scene, he started attacking me by age, basically saying that young guys shouldn't be listening to me because I'm too old and all this stuff and my advice is outdated. And see, Kobe was somebody who always respected his elders, the older players in the league, like Michael Jordan, Julius Erving, Dr. J. I could go on, Magic Johnson. He wanted to learn from those guys because they had already been where he was trying to go. And somebody wrote that on my Patreon page, one of my Patreon subscribers. Now this guy's not black, he's actually Caucasian, but he was saying he doesn't understand how young guys, they say they don't want to learn anything from older guys, when in many instances, older guys have, like, that's what I've been trying to say, man. Like, I don't see how a younger dating coach can attack me when I've already experienced everything they've experienced 10 times over. I'm just going to keep it real. Like, anybody who's in their 20s right now, their 30s, even their early to mid 40s. I guarantee you I've had more experience with women than they have. I guarantee you that. I put $10,000 on that statement. I guarantee you I have. Everything that any guy in their 20s who calls himself a dating coach, any type of knowledge, wisdom, and insight they call themselves offering to guys, I guarantee you I know everything they know and some. I know everything they know and some. I'll call them out by name if you want me to. Everybody on YouTube, I know everything they know and some. And some. And ain't nobody younger than me that got more knowledge than me, more wisdom than me, more dating relationships related insight to me. Nobody. It ain't nobody. Quote me on that statement. Quote me on that statement. It ain't nobody on here that knows more than me. There might be a couple of specific areas, like, for example, okay, let me retract that a little bit. I've never been through a divorce. So if you got a guy on YouTube that's younger than me, that knows the ins and outs of how to go through divorce proceedings, then I can see that. He might know that. I ain't never experienced nothing to do with divorce, or getting financially raped in divorce court. So stuff like that, so I'll semi-retract what I just said. I don't know that type of stuff. So somebody giving advice to do with stuff like handling getting financially raped through divorce or having to do with child support. I've never dealt with stuff to do with child support. Stuff to do with stuff like that, I can honestly say I've never dealt with that stuff. But I'm talking about stuff to do with just the general nature of attracting women, seducing women, getting women in bed. That's what I'm talking about. The general nature of anything to do with attracting women, seducing women, and just generally getting women in bed, getting a woman to be your wife, your fiance, your long-term girlfriend, or your casual sex lover. In that general area, it ain't nobody on YouTube who got more knowledge, wisdom, and insight than me. There might be a handful of guys who their knowledge is close to mine, that if I'm here, they might be right here. But if I'm here, ain't nobody here. I guarantee you that. I'll put a $10,000 bet on that statement. It ain't nobody here where I'm here and they here. Nobody. Particularly nobody that's at minimum of 10 years younger than me. But anyway, going back to Kobe once again, that's one thing I loved about Kobe, man. Now, when he got on the court with older players, he would try to do damage to them. Even Michael Jordan, as much as he loved and respected Michael Jordan, he tried to get the best of Michael every time he played against him. But he always showed those guys reverence and respect. He always, and that's one of the top 3 qualities I loved about it. I would say that's not necessarily unique, though, for a lot of athletes. A lot of athletes in various sports are like that. A lot of baseball players, they respect their elders. A lot of football players respect their elders. A lot of basketball players respect their elders. You rarely are going to hear an athlete that's going to say, I ain't trying to learn shit from these old motherfuckers in the league. I ain't trying to learn shit from them. Like, I was just reading an article literally like 2 or 3 days ago about there's a young player on one of the Super Bowl teams. I think it's the San Francisco 49ers. One of the defensive backs for the San Francisco 49ers was talking about how he learned a lot from Richard Sherman, who's older. He's not that old himself. Richard Sherman's only like 31. But one of his younger teammates said he's learned a lot from younger Sherman. I think the younger guys maybe like 23 or 24. And, but yeah, man, Kobe, he always gave props, man, to his elders, man. And he didn't care about haters. He got fueled by haters. He loved for people to hate on him, man. That made him play. That brought out, took his game to another level. He used all the venom from his haters and critics as fuel for motivation.
I've been hating you too long to stop now.
You're retiring, and you want to be free.
My hate was growing stronger as you became a habit to me. Don't make me stop now. I hate you.
So anyway, man, I think it's tragic that he's left this earth way too young. I think he had a lot to offer. Again, man, I know his family is gonna miss him terribly. He was an advisor, consultant to a lot of current NBA players. He would give them advice on what they needed to improve on in their game. Yeah, man, he's gonna be missed. He's going to be missed. Now, one of the things I'm going to talk about briefly, and then I'll wrap up the video. I was just talking about stuff to do with attraction and seduction. You know what has killed me for the last I'd say probably 20 years? Starting with the early 2000s when, a lot of these conventional pickup artists start becoming popular. Now, first of all, to remind you, I've always said there's 5 general methods of getting women in bed. 5 general methods of getting women in bed, which would be attraction, seduction, dishonesty and manipulation, financial negotiation, and coercion. And here's what I found. I've mentioned this on probably like a handful of videos over the last 2 years, almost 3 years, is this. And it started with the conventional pickup artists. Out of those 5 methods, there's at least 2 of those methods that a lot of guys will categorize as seduction that is really not representative of seduction. There's 2 of those things that people will try to conflate with the concept of seduction that are really its own separate entity. The 2 are attraction and dishonesty and manipulation. Like I know a lot of conventional pickup artists starting with say 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007. They would describe experiences with women that either centered around attraction or centered around dishonesty and manipulation, but yet they would label it seduction. And I've always had a problem with that because that's not seduction, man. I'll give you a couple of examples. I've heard guys, and just recently, this is one reason I'm bringing this up because somebody, always gets sent little links to things and clips and stuff. And somebody sent me this clip where this young Caucasian guy, was fancying himself as this master seduction guru. And he was telling a couple of infield stories. A lot of conventional PUAs always emphasize those infield videos. He was talking about his infield stories. And he was using the term seduction. But when you listen to each of his stories, it had nothing to do with seduction. One example was he said he met this woman, invited her to have coffee with him, and then they chatted, I don't know, for like an hour. Then he invited her back to his place, and then they talked some more, but then they started making out, and then basically he ended up fucking her. And he went on to say, man, that was one of my best seductions ever. And I'm sitting there watching like, how did you really seduce the woman though? That ain't seduction. That really not. That ain't seduction. If you're meeting an attractive woman and say you guys got great chemistry and you invite her to your place or she happens to invite you to her place, and let's say you go to her place or she comes to your place, you guys talk for a few minutes and then you just start tongue kissing and making out and then you end up fucking. After you fuck that woman, you really cannot technically say that you seduced that woman. I categorize that of the 5 methods I talk about. I would categorize that in the category of attraction. That was just simply you got that woman in bed based on attraction. That's all that was. You got that woman in bed based on attraction. There was no real seduction involved. And even worse is when I hear guys, and a lot of conventional PUAs are guilty of doing this, they'll highlight stories that involve lying to women or misleading and manipulating a woman and toying with a woman's emotions. They'll categorize that as seduction. That's not seduction. For example, if you meet a woman and she tells you that she's only willing to have sex with a guy within the context of a long-term, emotionally profound boyfriend-girlfriend type relationship, and you give her the misleading impression that that's what you're interested in is a long-term, emotionally profound boyfriend-girlfriend type relationship, but then after you have sex with her, say 5 times, you just dump her. You can't later on tell your friends that you seduced her, or if you're a dating coach or a PUA, you can't tell your clients that that was representative of seduction. How did you seduce the woman? You just lied to her. That ain't seduction, man. That's not fucking seduction. And I'm going to make the strong statement that I've made quite a few times already. The vast majority of men in society have no idea on how to truly seduce a woman. Let me repeat that. And I'm going to go into a little more detail in my Patreon exclusive portion. The vast majority of heterosexual men in society, particularly current day society, they don't have a clue on how to truly, verbally seduce a woman. That's one of the reasons why I get paid big money for my one-on-one face-to-face coaching sessions. That's one of the things I teach men how to do. I teach men how to actually seduce women. Most men don't know how. Most men don't have the verbal communication skills, the conversation skills to seduce a woman. They don't. They don't have the charisma. They don't have the confidence. They don't have the persuasive charm to seduce a woman. They just don't. That's just real fucking talk. Most guys don't have that. Can it be taught? Yes. For a lot of men, it can. Not all men, but a lot of men, yes. I've done it. But yeah, most men don't. I can tell from this recent couple of videos I watched, particularly this guy I was just talking about, this young guy. He was, calling himself some kind of man. Because, my nickname is the king of verbal seduction. A nickname I've gotten from a few women, but most notably the woman I always refer to in my videos is Sharon. Her and her 2 girlfriends gave me that nickname because they actually saw me in action. To break it down again, what does it truly mean to seduce a woman? Here's when you know you've truly seduced a woman. Let's say you meet a woman and there's some degree of attraction between you two, but let's say the woman makes it clear that she's only willing to engage in a long-term sexual relationship, but you want a short-term sexual relationship. You can basically do one of 2 things. Or technically one of 3 things. You can lie to that woman and make her believe that you also want long-term sexual companionship when you know you don't. And then once you get the pussy, you just dump her. That's what's known as pump and dump. Pump and dump is a form of dishonesty and manipulation. I don't believe in pumping and dumping women. That doesn't mean I don't believe in casual sex, but I don't believe in what's truly known as pump. Yeah. Some people think pump and dump is just anytime you engage in casual sex, period. No. Pump and dump is a specific form of casual sex. Pump and dump is when you lie to women and you make a woman believe that you want the same type of sexual companionship that she does, even though in reality you don't. And then once you have sex with that woman X number of times, 2 times, 5 times, 10 times, you just dump her. That's truly what it means to pump and dump a woman. I'm not into pumping and dumping. But yeah, that's one option you can do. The second option would fall in the category of coercion. Well, no, I give another option, financial negotiation. You could offer the woman money. You could say, well, I know you long-term sexual, but I'm interested in sexual companionship. What if I pay you $300 for you to engage in, 2 or 3 episodes of just short-term sex? And let's say she says, yeah, okay. That wouldn't be seduction. That would be financial negotiation. Then third, you could get her sloppy drunk and try to take advantage of her. That would fall in the category of coercion. So that would be the options you would have. If you're in a situation where you meet a woman and she lets it be known that she's interested in long-term sex, but you're interested in short-term sex, here are the things you could do. You could lie to her, make her believe that you want long-term sex too. That would be dishonesty and manipulation. You could offer her money to change her mind. That would be financial negotiation. You could get her sloppy drunk or give her some drugs so that it inhibits her ability to give you consent. That would be coercion. Or you could seduce her. Seducing would be if you use your conversation skills and your charisma and persuasive charm to change her mind, to persuade her to change her stance from long-term sex to short-term sex. Or similarly, if you met a woman that made it clear that she's only willing to engage in sex within the context of a strictly monogamous relationship, you got the same options. You could lie to her and make her believe that you're into strictly monogamous sex too, even though deep down you know you're not. That's dishonesty and manipulation. You could offer her money as an incentive to make her change her mind, financial negotiation. You can get her sloppy drunk or give her some drugs, take advantage of her, date rape her, coercion. Or you can seduce her. Again, use your conversation skills, your persuasive charm to get her to change her mind. That's what seduction is. Seduction is when you use what's commonly, I know some of y'all tired of hearing this term, but the more slang term for your overall communication skills, conversation skills, and sense of persuasive charm and charisma is what's known as your mouthpiece. Your mouthpiece. You got to have a mouthpiece to seduce a woman. To seduce a woman, you got to have a mouthpiece. Most guys don't have a mouthpiece, and that's why most guys don't know how to seduce women. But again, one of the things I'm tired of is listening to guys, particularly guys who are like pickup artists, dating coach, or self-proclaimed seduction gurus. They'll call one of those other methods seduction when they're really not seduction. Attraction is not the same thing as seduction. If a woman approaches you at a party, tells you that you're handsome, and then essentially lets you know she wants to give you some pussy, and then you sleep with her, you didn't seduce her. You didn't seduce her. I've heard men say that, though. They'll be like, yeah, man, I was at this party, man, and this woman was flirting with me, and I took her to my crib, and I fucked her. Yeah, man, I seduced that babe. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't seduce her. She just pretty much gave you the pussy on a silver platter. That ain't seduction. I'll close on this. See, seduction happens. One of the things I talk about, Who Said Again, which is my best-selling audiobook, is I use the metaphor of the little white angel on your right shoulder and the little red devil on your left shoulder. See, most women are conflicted. They're conflicted. They're usually listening to 2 voices. You got some women who only listen to the voice of their social programming. I call those women 5s in my book, Who Said Again. Then on the flip side, you got some women who only listen to their biological impulses and their raw sexual desires. I call those women 1s, which I mentioned in my book, Who Said Again. But then in the middle, between the 5s and 1s, you got 2s, 3s, and 4s. 2s, 3s, and 4s are women who are conflicted. They're conflicted. They got one voice that represents their conservative social programming, conservative, prudish, monogamy-oriented social programming. And then they got the little devil voice that represents their biological impulses and their raw sexual, animalistic sexual desires. And each of them are talking into each ear. They're conflicted. So when you try to get them in bed, particularly to get them engaged in short-term and or non-monogamous sex, the voice of that angel is going to get louder and louder and louder. And it's going to provoke them to, at minimum, resist your advances, and at maximum, just flat out be on the verge of rejecting your advances. That's where seduction comes in. That's where seduction comes in. And I'm going to continue my thoughts on this subject in my Patreon exclusive portion.